Yellow. Alrighty then. Let's get this started. I'm going to continue with this tutorial. So yesterday I was working on the Udemy, and we're going to continue with that. Put on some tunes. Open up the project. Turn on the cam. Huh. Oh. There we go. Here I am. I am here. So yesterday we left off with this shenanigans, and we're gonna make that rubber band. Hey, alright. Alright, bro. So that's where we are. Okay. Where's the thing? We're rounding up our child actors here. Gotta round them up. Rounding them up. Round up those child actors. Probably get rid of studio mode. Actually, you know what? We'll move the chat over here so I can concentrate. And put this here.
So I'm going to just take a shot in the dark with how I want these to function. I'm going to drag in DT mesh, and I'm going to drag off that and tighten move.
Turn the music down just a little bit here.
Component, and I'm going to use the move component to function.
Let's start over.
So we've gone and we've created a nice simple variable actor, the variable band, and it's time that we now create the drop targets that we're eventually going to align along this. So the drop target's rather simple to create, but the first element of this is we need to, as always, import the mesh. So I'm going to open up my files, and I'm just going to get sm_drop target and pop it into here. So we've got our drop target. I know from the beginning that I want this to just be simple, white plastic. Doesn't have to be amazing. Save. So we've got ourselves the basic mesh. Let's go to blueprints. Let's right click and let's create ourselves a new blueprint class. And that's going to be an actor called drop target. So the drop target is going to be relatively simple. It's going to have a couple of little things though that we need to really consider. Now the first thing is we need to set ourselves up with a function that will drop the target and a function that will reset the target. So that's rather simple. First off, I'm going to add a component which is going to be a static mesh. I'm not going to set it to be the root, it's just going to be sitting above the root, and it's going to be called DT mesh, which stands for drop target mesh. So I'm going to set that up as my drop target mesh, power save. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click, create a custom event, and this is going to be called drop. After the drop event, I'm going to do a custom event, and this is going to be called reset target. So I'm going to just take a shot in the dark with how I want these to function. I'm going to drag in DT mesh, and I'm going to drag off that and tighten move component, and I'm going to use the move component to function.
Yeah. Move component to.
And this is going to be rather straightforward. All we're going to do is when we want to drop it, we're going to say move. We're going to move component to -110 on the Z axis. I'm going to ignore X and Y for the time being, because we just want it to go straight down. Next thing I'm going to do as a safety precaution is I'm going to set the collision enabled to be no collision. Plug that in. Now next up we're going to have a play sound at location. So we'll play ourselves just a simple little sound effect every time it drops as well. So I'm going to right click, play sound at location, which is just going to be, the location is going to be the actor location. And the sound effect is going to be, for the time being, let's just play the bumper hit effect so we've got something. Eventually we'll switch that out to be its own unique. Okay. The reset target, it's going to be substantially more straightforward. I'm just going to set this to move to 0. So it's completely Good thing. All set to 0. And finally, to get this functioning, I'm going to tell it that event hit. So when I get hit, I want to drop. Now, one of the things that we want to always check whenever we use hit is just make sure how our collision is set up. Now, in this case, we have block wall dynamic. Is checked, but we have one thing that is not, which is simulation generates hit events. So make sure you check that. Compile, save. So that's under collision if you can't see. At this point, we now have a drop target that will theoretically drop and then, reset itself. But let's quickly test that. On begin play, I'm just going to add a delay. And after 1 second, it's going to drop. And then I'm going to add a delay again, which after 1 second is going to reset. So compile, save. And if I go to my viewport, and I hit simulate.
Hey, what's up, Guerrero? Welcome back. So now that we've told it to reset, and this is going up to X. What?
YZ on
Wait,
this
was I supposed to hear something?
reset. So compile, save. And if I go to my viewport and I hit simulate. So now that we've told it to reset, and this is going up to XYZ on the 0, the next thing we need to do, that's very easy to mess up in this situation, is make sure the DT mesh is actually connected to your component here. If you're
Oh yeah, Guerrero, I don't know if you missed it, but I'm sure you know. Whatchamacallit, Akita came in to the stream last night because he was all excited about the Mega Scans being free. That's pretty cool, right? I'm excited to play with some Mega Scans.
If you're copying and pasting, it's very easy to leave that component. Reference empty. And of course, now that we're doing that, the other thing that we need to do is, in the same way over here that we set the collision to be no collision, we're going to duplicate that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no worries, man.
And I'm going to set the collision on this to now just say collision.
Collision enabled.
Enabled again. So that should be a correct reset.
Oh wait, wrong one. What is this for? Yeah, I'm still working on the this guy, the stretchy wire thing, or drop target. I don't know. It's for this thing. So we're going to test that.
Wait, did he set collision to enabled for the other one too?
So now that we've told it to reset,
I don't know
this is
exactly
going
what this
up
is gonna
to
do, what we're doing
XYZ
right
on
now.
0. The next thing we need to do, that's very easy to mess up in this situation, is make sure that DT mesh is actually connected to your component here. If you're copying and pasting, it's very easy to leave that component reference empty. And of course, now that we're doing that, the other thing that we need to do is, in the same way over here that we set the collision to be no collision, I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to set the collision on this to now just say collision enabled again. So that should be a correct reset. So we're going to test that by setting a delay node off of begin play, which is going to have drop, delay, reset. So if I go to my viewport and I hit simulate, you can see after 1 second it goes down, and then after 1 second it goes back up. So we should be all good now for that to function. Now, with that working, I know that there are things that we're going to need to do later. I'm just going to make you aware of that now. At the moment, the target's not reporting anything to anyone to work out whether it's dropped or not, but that's okay. I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. The thing that we need to set up though from here is our lettering, such that we have a character that is floating just in front of this. So I'm just going to add a component, and that component is going to be text render. Now by default, I'm going to get this text, and I'm going to set this text to say the letter U. So getting this text set up correctly just requires us to kind of move this around until we've got something that really works. So I can see where the character is right now. I'm going to rotate this to be in 90 degrees on the Z axis. So it's now there. Text set up correctly just requires us to essentially kind of move this around until we've got something that really works. So I can see where the character is right now.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
I'm going to rotate this to be in 90 degrees on the Z axis. So it's now there. I'm also going to move it just a little bit in front. So characters, so 25 centimeters on the y-axis, puts it there. I'm going to set the horizontal alignment to be equal to center. This way it's in the middle there. And now I'm just going to turn the size of it up to something that I think will work. So I'm going to try 5 and 5. Which looks okay. 5 and 5 seem like good values for our X scale and Y scale. So that can be our basic character that sits there. Actually, I might move this just a bit closer because it's still pretty far out. At times like this, it's a good idea to disable the snap grid just to get it to the closest possible area you can. Cool, re-enable. The other thing that I think would be a good idea is that's a white character right now, but instead it might be a good idea to make it just a strong contrast. Now at the moment, if we were to run this, the U is actually not going to stay attached. This is going to drop down and the U is going to stay where it is. And that's because my text render component here isn't set to DT mesh. So this hasn't actually, I had to make sure that DT mesh was the parent of the actor that I was dropping in.
Oh, so I had it right before.
Now finally, the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable that is just going to be, it's going to be a string variable to keep things simple. And it's going to be called drop letter. So I'm going to expose this, and I'm also going to expose this on spawn, and I'm going to set the type to just be a string. Compile, save.
Uh,
I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable that is just going to be, it's going to be a string variable to keep things simple, and it's going to be called drop letter. So I'm going to expose this, and I'm also going to expose this on spawn, and I'm going to set the type to just be a string. save. And all this is going to be by default is a letter, so I'm going to put in F for the sake of testing. And in my construction script, I'm just going to get my drop letter. So when the construction script runs, it's going to get my text render component, and it's simply going to call on the text render set text. And the value that it's going to be looking for is just going to be drop letter. It's going to add an auto conversion because we're going from string type to text type, but that's okay. We can component, and it's simply going to call on the text render set text.
No.
And the value that it's looking for is just going to be
Wait, what?
drop letter. It's going to add an auto. So when the construction script runs, it's going to get my text render component, and it's simply going to call on the text render set text. And the value that it's going to be looking for is just going to be drop letter. It's going to add an auto conversion because we're going from string type to text type, but that's okay. We can leave that. So now that we have that going, compile, save. If I hit my viewport, you can now see that whenever I change this variable to be something else,
Why is mine
it's
backwards?
always going to equal.
Why is it backwards?
That again, which is great. So now that we've got our drop target essentially created, the next thing that we need to do is create actor components in our new blueprint. So the variable band is in place, the drop target has been created. It's time for us to go about actually creating the final piece, which is to create an actor that we're going to call a drop target set. So I want you to right click on BP variable band and instead go create. Create child blueprint class. I'm going to call this BP underscore drop target set. Okay? And you'll notice that when it's created, it looks identical to a standard variable band, but there's more to it. So how this is going to work is I'm essentially going to add actors to this actor according to the word that is specified as its variable. Which means we need to go ahead and create ourselves a new variable that I'm just going to call drop target string. And I'm going to set this be a string variable. I'll save. You're also going to make sure that this is public. And in my construction script, I'm now going to go ahead and create that function. Now I want to point out that at the moment you can see that we have construction script and we also have parent construction script. This means that as long as this node is here, this node executes what its parent would normally run in its own construction script. Whereas everything beyond this point is going to allow me to expand upon that so that this actor has all of its functionality of its parent plus a little bit more. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to get my drop target string, and I'm actually going to run a quick little function on it called toUpper. Because anything that we have that we're putting in here, I want to make sure we're only using capital letters. So I'm going to now set the drop target string to be the capitalized version of the existing string. And now I'm going to drag off of that, and I'm going to type in a function called getCharacterArray from string. This is very useful because what it does is it breaks any string, so line of text given into it here, into an array. Now I'm going to put in a test array at this point that'll just be a simple word. And what it's going to do is eventually this is now going to put out Udemy, into an array. Now I'm going to put in a test array at this point that'll just be a simple word. And what it's going to do is eventually this is now going to put out Udemy, and under get character array from string, this array is now going to have one letter in each single value of its array. So I'm going to drag off of that, and I'm going to do a for each loop. Now this for each loop is going to create a child actor component every time it iterates through. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drag off of the loop body. For the time being, I'm just going to add a child actor component. Now a child actor component means we're spawning a new actor that's parented to this as if it was a component of this actor. It's very useful functionality. I'm going to do drop target, and for the time being I'm going to tell it that it's relative transform. So we're just going to make this up as we go along as a quick test, but I'm going to go split, and I'm going to just for the time being tell it, just so you can see that they're all being added, that it's Z location, so this is going to go straight up, which is obviously not what we want in the long run, but I'm going to multiply the index, which is the current number in the array, multiplied by, let's say, I'm going to go split, and I'm going to just for the time being tell it, just so you can see that they're all being added, that it's Z location, so this is going to go straight up, which is obviously not what we want in the long run, but I'm going to multiply the index, which is the current number in the array, multiplied by, let's say, 40 for testing. I'm going to plug that into here. This is set to drop target, and this is set to there. So if I go view compile, you can, which is the current number in the array, multiplied by, let's say, 40 for testing. I'm going to plug that into here. This is set to drop target, and this is set to there. So if I go view compile, you can now see that it's added letters going up.
Oh, look at that.
Again and again and again. So we know that it's adding these actors to our world. So this means that what we need to do is essentially we need to create something in our construction script that tells it where to place those actors. And if you think about the logic that we need to have there, let's have a look at it. We start here and we end here. We want to find the spaces in between and automatically place them. Now, we don't want to use the very ends, we want them to only be on the band. So a nice way for us to go about doing that is to, first off, we want to get the length of the distance between the two posts of the of our parent. So if I was to right click here and just, try to add a reference to post, I could. Except, how would I ever get my second post? So it's time for us to quickly expand something that we had in the variable band, and that is, I'm going to go to here, and when we add the static mesh component for the second,
Gotta open another blueprint here. Which one?
post, which is this one just here, I want you to right click and promote that to a variable that I'm just going to call post2. This means that at any stage, if we want to modify post2 in the future, now we can. So I'm going to compile and save, and then go back to my drop target set. And that is, I'm going to go to here, and when we add the static mesh component for the second post, which is this one just here, I want you to right click and promote that to a variable that I'm just going to call post2.
This means that at any stage, if we want to modify post 2 in the future, now we can. So I'm going to compile. And save, and then go back to my drop target set. And this time when I right click here and I tap in post, you can now see that we have get post 2, which means I can get a reference to both of these. So post 1, we want to get the relative location. Post 2, we want to get the relative location. At which point we want to subtract one from the other and then get the length. Which tells us how far apart these are from each other. So this is a nice little function to quickly tell us how far apart these two things are. Now, all I want to do from here is I want to figure out how spaced out the intervals should be, given how far apart these are. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to divide it by the number of characters that we want to have. So to do that, I'm going to get this, the length of this, and I'm actually going to add 1 to it so that it never fills up and adds an extra element to the end piece. So we've got the length plus 1, and what I'm going to do is...
Wait, no, that's not it.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by a float.
Divide.
I'm going to divide this by this. So the length divided by the number of pieces we want to have plus 1 so that we have a little bit of extra space on the end. At which point...
Hey, what's up, S-Bond? Welcome. I'm working on a pinball game. It's a tutorial. Yep. But yeah, feel free to
we now
chime in.
Multiply that, because if I was to get this and just plug that, for instance, into X, well, the first issue that we have is we haven't gone ahead and told it where the gaps are. This tells us how far apart to place them, but we need this to
there we go.
to tell them where that specific element should be. Now this is not going to work when I plug it in, but you'll start to see what
You can now see that these are getting arranged in a straight line. And if I was to go and like modify the value that we have for the location,
Look at that.
so I'm going to delete this for the time being and instead put in a drop target set. If I was to add this and click on post location and stretch it out, you can
Ah. Look at that.
see that it's expanding that space. However, it's still not correct. Now, the reason it's not correct right now is we're offsetting by 1 on one end, but we need to offset it by 1 on the other end as well. So I'm going to go to my my drop target set, and in my construction script, I'm going to add 1 to my array index.
Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Oops. Why? Oh.
These pieces are now being correctly placed here.
Are they? Are they? Oh, look at that. That's very nice. Oh, didn't want to do that.
However, we have another issue. If I was to get my drop post and move it,
Oh yeah, that's the
it's
problem I
sizing
just
them
had.
along the x-axis, but it's not actually sizing them in a way that is between the 2 points. It's just going along its own local x. So, how do we fix that? So we go to the drop target set, and what we do this time is after we've multiplied that by that, we now want to actually offset it so it's facing down the direction of the post. So there's a great way to do that, which is if I get my post 1 and I find out which way forward is for that actor. I can now multiply this number. So keep in mind, at the moment this is just a distance, saying here's how far along you should be. And by multiplying that against a direction, oops, that should be a multiplication against a vector. So multiplied vector by float. By multiplying these two against one another, I'm going to recombine this for a moment. And
Wait, where did he put that?
by multiplying that against a direction, oops, that should be a multiplication against a vector. So multiplied vector by float. By multiplying these two against one another, I'm going to recombine this from.
Oh, I recombined it. How did he? Oh, I have to detach it first. Shut up.
A moment, and plug this in.
Okay.
You're now going to see that if I get this, it's starting to act.
Oh. No.
You're now going to see that if I get this, it's starting to actually place them in the correct location.
That's not what happened. Nope. I fucked up. Let the fuck ups begin. What did I do wrong? I thought it was too good to be true.
these two against one another, I'm going to recombine this for a moment and plug this in. You're now going to see that if I get this, it's starting to
Oh,
actually
did I not? I thought I compiled it. Oh. Silly me. Could have swore I hit compile. Okay. Just being a little bit pessimistic
place
there.
them in the correct location. So see they're now actually stretching between the two locations?
Yeah.
However, we have one
we see
final
it.
issue here, which is we need to make sure that the rotation is correctly set up as well. And that's okay, because the rotation just needs to be the rotation of this against, sorry, where is my drop target set? Construction script. It is the local rotation of the post 1. So I'm going to get relative
Wait, what did you just do?
the rotation of this against, sorry, where is my drop target set? Construction script. It is the local rotation of the post 1. So I'm going to get relative rotation and connect.
Get relative rotation. Connect that bitch to here.
Like this. And you'll see that these pieces are now correctly aligning themselves with the post. Good.
Oh yeah? Let's see. Oh, hey, look at that. Would you look at that? Very nice. Very nice indeed.
Because we're already doing the rotation math. Now that that's out of the way, the only thing that we need to do from this point on is to actually add an offset so that these aren't just sitting in the middle. Now if this is the forward vector along that direction, this would be considered the right vector. So all we need to actually do here is multiply the right vector by say 20 units and add that to our location. And what you'll see there is this. So we're getting the right vector at the moment and making that our location. Sorry, the forward vector, making that our location. But if we plus vector, so we're adding an offset, and this offset is this. So we're getting the right vector and making that our location. Sorry, the forward vector, making that our location. But if we plus vector, so we're adding an offset, and this offset was simply equal to the post. We get the right vector, so that the right.
Hey, what did you just do?
But if we plus vector, so we're adding an offset, and this offset was simply equal to the post. We get the right. Vector, so that the right vector is a vector that points in the direction of the right of the object. By multiplying that against, say, 20, it's now going to be 20 units to the right. What does that mean? It means that it's now going to... By multiplying that against, say, 20, it's now going to be 20 units to the right. What does that mean? It means that it's now going to place those here. Save. Now at the moment, these are all being set to U, but they are being correctly placed now. So the final part for us to do in setting this up is to go back to our construction script, and after we add them, we now get this. Now, most people would expect this to return an actor reference, but it actually gives me a component reference, because remember these are actually components in here. So what I need to do is drag off of that and type in child actor, and you'll see that we now have the ability to get access to the child actor. So with that, all I need to do is drag off of this, cast to drop target, So we're going to cast the actor to a drop target. And because it's a drop target, I'm now going to set the drop letter. And the drop letter is going to be equal to the current letter. So I'm going to get this and plug it straight in. Now there is still going to be an issue here.
Wait, what?
So we're going to cast the actor to a drop target. And because it's a drop target, I'm now going to set the drop letter. And the drop letter is going to be equal to the current letter. So I'm going to get this.
This seems crazy. Just saying, this seems a little crazy.
And plug it straight in. Now there is still going to be an issue here, which is, well, you'll see. In just a moment. If I go compile save, you can see that those are all still use. Now the reason for that is that the function that we added in our drop target, which was to automatically set the letter in the construction script, this functionality doesn't actually work if we're doing it through a child actor. So we need to set that up a bit differently. So to do that, we go to the drop target set, construction script, and after we've set the letter to the correct letter, let's also just simply call set text on the text render that we've added. And I'm just going to make that equal to the letter.
No, hold on,
Set
time out.
text on
Oh,
the
text render.
that we've added. And I'm just going to make that equal to the letter.
Ugh. Can't keep up with this shit, bro.
Simply call set text on the text render that we've added. And I'm just going to make that equal to the letter that we set it to just there. So we're essentially replicating. Construction script functionality here. If I look at this in the world, you can now see that this will automatically expand and contract.
Uh-oh. What the hell? I keep on pressing compile and it's not fucking compile. Good.
Contract where it can, and add the word that we've created, which is fantastic.
That's pretty cool. I gotta tell ya, that's pretty cool. Where was it that we set the word? I forgot. I forgot. 'Cause there's you. Where did we do it? Drop letter, text render, event graph, construction script, set text, text render, text render. I forgot where I wrote fuck. Was it here? Oh, there it is. So how many words can I fit on this? Put like fuck? Shit. Let's do that. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's fun. I like it. Yes, sir. I like it. Fuck, fuck, shit. Fuck, fuck, shit. Wait. Yes, sir. I like it.
So let's see how that actually works in a game. I'm going to add this word here, and I'm going to move the piece over to here, just so we have something that theoretically easy to hit. And you can see that every time.
Oh. Wait, 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 we can't see it. Maybe we shouldn't make it so long, huh? Oh, Markham. Welcome. Yeah, it's a good tutorial. Sometimes I find it a little bit hard to follow. I kind of wish that he went over organization a bit better. But overall, I am learning a lot. I think it's just sort of tough to consume it all from a complete beginner standpoint. But it's been pretty cool. Have you done this one before? Specifically, or? Epic Game Jam. Oh, cool. What's the Epic Game Jam? I'm new. I'm really new. Like I don't really know what's going on, ever. Oops. Ah! I missed it. Hey, I got one. Is there enough space to get through? They're giving a theme on Thursday. You need to make a game in a week. Oh, I think I've seen the gallery for those games before. I forgot where I was. It was probably the last game jam that happened. Is that an annual thing? It's annual, right? Every 6 months? Oh, okay. Well, feel free to share your games. I'll be totally down to see it. I'm here to learn, so. And I'm always curious to what people are doing. I'm no threat to be, to stealing ideas. I don't really know what I'm doing, so. But there's other people that have dropped by here that seem like they know what they're doing. Maybe that's something to be concerned about. But are you gonna make a game for the game jam?
Time I hit them, they're now dropping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll check it out right now. Let me see. YouTube unavailable. It's private. I can't see it. You have a private link. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the game jam and the release of the mega scans. See what people do with that.
So going from here, the next thing that we need to do is to make sure that this actually knows how to handle itself from this point onwards. So it needs to know that when it drops, that we're actually assessing the number of things that have dropped and checking whether it's time to add a multiplier from this node yet. Which means it's time for us to start looking
Well,
at
actually, you know what? Since you've completed this tutorial before, what's your criticisms of, like, do you have any, like, words of wisdom? Like, what was your experience with it? My chat window is, like, up there, so that's why I'm looking up, not here. Pick the parts that I want to learn. Okay. I feel like normally I would have that standpoint, but he makes a lot of assumptions on things. Like, if you don't know something from his previous part of the tutorial, this song is annoying. Okay. Like, if you don't know something from the previous part of the tutorial, you're not going to really catch on as quickly. Best way you learned was to make a game and then work out what you need. That sounds easier said than done. Well, did you already have experience with Blender before you started getting into Unreal? That's what you're saying, right? Oh, so you do that for work. Huh. Nightbot seems threatened by that. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I have zilch. I have no experience with game development, so or programming. The only experience I have that's even close to any of this is like some super basic web development, which uses like not that much, and some animation. But I don't know coding at all. But my background is in like IT stuff, like, you know, like networking, and so I think I have like a pretty good mindset for sort of absorbing a lot of this stuff. I just been sort of procrastinating over the years on, you know, I want to make a game, and so I'm finally at a point at where I'm sick of just saying I want to make a game, and I'm trying to learn about it. But I am taking my time because, like, I have a pretty decent job right now, so I'm pretty happy with it. But internal training products? Oh, you mean for like companies? Oh, so you must be like one of those guys that does like the. I've heard about like Walmart does that too, right? Like Walmart has like the they're using VR to train their customer service stuff, right? Australia. Hey, what's up, Nash fan? Procrastinating. You've been doing Unreal every day. Yeah, I've been trying to do Unreal as much as I can. I haven't been doing it every day, but you heading out? Okay. See you later, Markham. Thanks for stopping by. Nash fan. Well, what are you working on, Nash fan?
Extended behaviors, which are going to be event dispatches. So we'll do that in the next lesson, but for the time being, write something cool, place it somewhere that's difficult to kind of reach, but
Huh. I was wondering if Nightbot was ever going to ask that question. What tutorials do you like? Did I make a Discord command? Oh, I did. Does this link even work? Or so I have an Unreal oh shit. There's a Humble Bundle for game dev stuff? Let me check it out. Humble Bundle game dev. $20, huh? This one? Oh, you didn't need to pay $20. What's wrong with you? Come on, you gotta be cheaper than that. Oh, I see. If you pay more than $18, you get all this shit too. Math for Games training course, huh? Oh, pay $20, you get all this other shit. I see, that's how they get you, huh? Steampunk, Unreal VR training course, Slum Village. Dude, Epic is fucking... They're living up to their name, huh? Yeah. Yeah, keep in touch, man. I have a bunch of videos in my Discord if you want to check it out. Like tutorials I found, if you want to like share with me, like you can post your shit in there too. I'm trying to find people that are also in my position. But yeah, I think I might get this. 20 hours. So let's continue with this.
Still reachable, and expand your general play area.
Try to do the event. Time to do event dispatchers.
So this time around, what we're going to be doing is using event dispatches as a way of communicating between blueprints. In this case, we're going to use the drop targets that are aligned along the drop target set to communicate back to the set whenever they've dropped. When they have all dropped, we're now going to pass that information onto the game mode and increase the current game's multiplier. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my drop target and I'm going to add an event dispatcher. So this is going to be a rather simple one. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event dispatcher and I'm going to call this onDrop. Now essentially what we're going to be doing is, this doesn't need any inputs set up here, so for the time being this is fine. What we're going to be doing though is we're going to say onDrop, anything that has been bound to this event is then going to call a respective function accordingly. So within my drop target, I'm going to drag this up.
Oh, also, if anybody has a Twitch Prime, that would help me pay for some of this tutorial shit.
And I'm going to say,
and it's free for you. I hate saying all that shit.
A call. So now, on a hit, we call drop, and when we drop, we're going to call onDrop. Compile.
Wait, what? Call onDrop. I like this song. What is this?
And now in my drop target set, what I'm going to do is in my construction script, I'm going to go ahead and add a binding such that when the game actually creates all of the drop targets, so when the construction script is run, what I'm going to do is bind an additional event to this. So to do this, what we need to do is follow along here. We can see that this is the point where we add the drop itself. So afterwards, I'm then going to say, after we set the text, let's do one other thing, which is going to be, as BP drop target, I'm going to bind on drop.
Bind event to onDrop.
So I'm going to bind an event to onDrop. I'm just going to plug this in here. Now, because we're in the construction script, I actually want to bind this to a function in the event graph, well, an event in the event graph. So I'm going to right click in the event graph and I'm going to create a custom event that's just going to be called process drop targets. So every time a target drops, it's going to run this function.
Targets.
And to do that, what I need to do is go back to my construction script, and in the event, if I drag off of this, you can see that we have a couple of options, but the one that I want...
Wait, what just happened there?
Construction script.
I guess this guy's pretty famous, huh? What's up, Marcel? Yeah, I'm doing the Chris Murphy pinball tutorial. It's on Udemy. Have you done this one before?
And in the event, if I drag off of this, you can see that we have a couple of options, but the one that I want here is create event. So I've dragged off of the red one.
Create event. His tone is different? What do you mean? Does he sound like a little bit more relaxed? Or a little bit less professional? Or does he sound more professional? This tutorial only cost me $10. Oh, he always sounds stressed? That's funny.
At which point I'm going to select process drop targets.
Process Drop targets.
as a function. This means that when onDrop gets called on this child actor component that we've created, it's then going to call process drop targets on this actor. So whenever we call process drop target, let's think about what we need to do. Well, we need to step through, we need to keep track of how many drop targets we currently have. We then need to decrement it, so we need to remove one because one has now gone down.
Yep.
And if the current number of targets remaining is equal to 0,
You want to see what it's going to look like, Marcel? Or do you care to see what the end result is? Right now I have this. It says fuck. It's pretty cool, right? Huh? So far I have this. This is... I don't know why that keeps on happening, that noise. But... this is where I'm at. And then this is not the final design at all. I'm just following through on his like steps, and down the line I'll be designing it. But right now we're just focused on functionality. But so far it's functioning fairly well. I had a lot of problems earlier with the menu. I was not having a good time with that one.
we then
Okay.
do something to the game mode. So for us to do that, we're going to need an additional variable, which is just going to be called target counter. So this is the
Target
number of targets currently in there. So I'm going to go integer. Now,
integer.
this is going to be set up such that when process drop targets gets called, we're going to get the current target counter. So I'm going to get, and I'm going to type in minus minus, which means decrement. So subtract 1 from it.
Minus.
Now after I've done that, I'm going to see if this is equal to 0. Because if this is equal to 0, we're going to do a branch. Because that means that all
No.
because I've done that, I'm going to see if this is equal to 0. Because if this is equal to 0, we're going to do a branch. Because that means that all of these have dropped down. So we're going to do a branch, at which point we're then going to modify the multiplier back in our game mode. So in our game mode, we currently have a value called multiplier, and all I'm going to
Oh shit, we're gonna go all the way back to game mode, huh?
do
Okay.
is I'm going to get the game mode,
Get game mode.
I'm going to cast it to the pinball game mode,
Cast.
going to get the
to
multiplier,
Pinball game
and I'm
mode.
simply going to drag off of that and type plus. So increment
No.
mode. I'm going to cast it to the pinball game mode. Going to get the multiplier.
Get multiplier.
And I'm simply going to drag off of that and type plus plus. So increment float. And
Plus
then I'm gonna
plus.
connect this up
Plus plus.
and connect this up. Now, this is currently missing something. At the moment, we're never telling the target counter what it should actually be equal to.
Huh.
So there's a couple of different ways that we could do this, but what I think I should actually do is add one more quick custom event, which is going to be in the game mode, which when we reset,
Where is he on the game mode? Oh, he's on reset game. Okay. I'm like, where the fuck is he looking at? Okay. Oh, that's right. I decided not to use this. And my setup's a little bit different.
We want to, whenever the game gets reset, we want to make sure that we've bound the values to be the current counter again. So every time the game gets reset, we want to actually set target counter to be back to that. So to do that, what I'm going to do is in my game mode, under reset game, I'm going to add an extra call just at the very end here, which is simply going to call an event dispatcher. So I'm going to create another one.
Looks like we're gonna have to make a little bit of room here, huh? Why? No. Oh, that works.
Which is called on-game reset.
On game reset.
And I'm going to call this here.
Call.
And in my drop target set, I'm simply
Drop target
going
set.
to say on begin play, we want to get the game mode. So I'm just going to copy and paste the game mode reference here. So on begin play,
Why? Oh, it must be different now, because... Why is his not showing the parent? You see this? Is this something that's happening because I have a newer version? Hey, what's up, Panos? So you see here, he's in the same blueprint, right? Which is a child. It's not showing the parent relationship. But if you go to my blueprint, you'll see it. So I would just branch it off of this thing, right? I don't understand why it's not showing. But you're saying I could probably turn it off in the settings? Like what settings would that be? Class settings? Editor settings? Like project settings? Well, let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens here. Editor preferences. Let's see. Let's see.
let's get the game on begin play. We want to get the game mode, so I'm just going to copy and paste the game.
Panos, Nightbot disagrees with you. I'm not going to reset my BIOS. Come on.
Game mode reference here. So on begin play, let's get the game mode. And let's very quickly just bind to on game reset, which is what we called it. So we're binding to this here. And the event that we're going to be binding is simply going to be called, reset drop target counter would be fine. So I'm going to create a new custom event.
and it's going to be called reset drop target.
But how you guys doing? What's your involvement with all this shenanigans? You guys game developers? I'm new. I'm learning right now. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Counter. And this, now I could actually just plug this straight into here if I didn't want to do the custom event, but this can get kind of messy doing it this way. It's okay for the time being though. And all I'm going to do is say target counter is equal to the length. Now I could actually just plug this straight into here if I didn't want to do the custom event, but this can get kind of messy doing it this way. It's okay for the time being though. And all I'm going to do is say target counter is equal to the length.
Here, indie dev. 3D sculpting. Oh, okay. Cool. That's neat. So Marcel, are you a 3D sculptor by trade? Is that like your day job? Why? Because I'm using a PlayStation camera, and when it was in color, it just looked kind of like awful. So I was like, why am I gonna have awful color if I could just have like black and white? So then it just looks completely awful. If it's kind of awful, it's just kind of like, eh. So I thought it'd be better to have like a style to it, you know what I mean?
So I've grabbed my target string, the length of the string.
What are the other things you're trying to focus on, Panos? Non-game things?
So compile. Now we're getting a little error here. Oh, now the reason it's just throwing an error is because I compiled this before compiling the game mode. So if I go back to here,
Ha! I beat him to it. I compiled my game mode, and I didn't get an error. See that? See what I did there?
when you compile again, it'll be totally fine. The reason being is that the game mode that had the delegate, the event dispatcher. So we've created.
By the way, my chat is up there, so that's why I keep looking up. You're a freelance media designer. You want to get into like UX, mobile stuff. Okay, that's cool. Cool.
Created that. That's now able to reset there. Now I believe reset game is
Pinball game mode.
currently being called whenever we create the game itself. So we should be fine on begin play.
Alright, so you're branching into some more hacking shit. Yeah, I feel like cybersecurity is kind of like where the money's at these days in terms of jobs.
We call create main menu, which on play resets the game. Yep, so this should be fine.
Like, there's never not going to be a need for cybersecurity people.
So there's one last thing that I want to do here, which is in my drop targets. I'm going to...
I wanted to do cybersecurity when I was, I used to be like a full-time like IT guy, and just doing like network and desktop stuff. And my boss, our network was awful, and he never wanted to train me. Like, I quit basically because he didn't want to pay for the training for me to get cybersecurity, like certified and stuff like that. So I was like, if you're not gonna help me advance my career, I'm the fuck out, you know? So, I hate fucking desktop support and like network support, dude. It's just like awful.
Again,
Everybody hates you.
I'm going to set these up such that on begin play, I'm going to bind reset.
Wait, what? Yeah, and I'm not a genius with IT stuff, you know? So like for me to just get another job, it's not that easy. So I decided to make like a big career change, and I'm doing something completely different now. But I still end up being the IT guy in my group. So they don't have to like ask the IT people all the time to do stuff.
On begin play, I'm going to bind...
Wait. Where the fuck? I work for a like a self-driving car company. So I work for the department that like gives like remote assistance to the cars. Why does mine look a lot different than his? The fuck's going on here? Did he delete all of this? Oh, this was just a check, wasn't it? Did he delete it?
targets. I'm going to, again, I'm going to set these up such that on begin play, I'm going to bind reset. So the reset function that we've already created, reset target, is going to be set so that when the game resets, we're going to be doing that. So once again, I'm going to drop in my pinball game mode, which is
What? I don't understand what just happened here. I don't know. Whatever. I guess this doesn't exist anymore. He didn't even mention this part. Like, he deleted all of this shit right here, but he didn't tell me. Whatever. Yeah, it's a Udemy course. Have you seen it? Yeah, I'm working on this pinball game. See? I forgot if I showed you. That's where it's at right now. Beep. Beep. It's very exciting.
pasted it in from earlier. And I'm just going to bind on game reset. We want to go
Bind
dispatcher
on
create
game
event. And I'm going to say reset target, which is the function that we created earlier. Compile and save. So now when the game resets, all of my targets should also come.
Wait, what? Add event. Wait. Create event? Reset target.
Back up to the top. So with that done, we should be ready to test this out.
Oh yeah?
So if I were to hit play, okay, so we've had one tile fall down. Now let's quickly test if these reset. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I think this is supposed to reset the fuck. The hell? I need to change my ball physics. Okay. So I think this is supposed to reset now. Once the game is over. Hey, look at that. Fuck. Came back. Wow, that went straight down. Yeah, I got 2. Look at that. But yeah, my ultimate goal with this shenanigans is I would like to make games for a living at some point. Not for somebody else though, only for myself. That would be nice.
And this should be my last life. So now when I hit play again, you can see that that pops straight back up. Fantastic.
Sweet. Dude, we're cruising through this tonight. What time is it? 4?
So we've gone through and we've gotten most of the assets together. One last thing that I'd really like to add here is a slingshot, which is just a reasonably standard pinball asset. You'll recognize it once we start to get it in. And to do that, I'm going to need to just copy in the asset, same as before. So I'm just going to go to my assets folder, and I'm going to pull up the asset to copy in, which is going to be called SM Slingband MT.
Oh, is this the part where we get to make the rubber band? I'm excited. Sling band. Oh.
Just going to drag that in. And when it imports, I'm going to leave all of this the same. I'm going to auto-generate collision as well. And just click import. Now this asset has something different about it to the others. What that is that if I was to open this up and quickly show you the materials, there are 3 materials: the surface, for the base sections, and then for this band running around the middle. Now this band around the middle has actually had morph targets applied to it, which is just a simple
addition that we can add in 3ds Max that allows us to have kind of like a very, very basic pose saved into it, so a single animation as to where it would end up. And the reason for this is we, through the material, can modify these morph targets to actually expand the band out and pull it back in again to create that slingshot effect. So to do that, it's rather simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new material, and this material is going to be used as the morph band. So I'm just going to create that now. Right click, new material, m_morph band.
More.
And this morph band is going to be set up reasonably simply. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up first off the color. So I'm going to hit V and drop in a vector parameter, which lets me set a color that can be instance. I'm just gonna call
No.
this color. Going to set the roughness to be very.
Oh man, I haven't touched the material shit in a while. I'm a little bit rusty on it. Oops, there we go.
Parameter, which lets me set a color that can be instance. I'm just going to call this color. Going to set the roughness to be very low. 0 is actually probably good for this. And next up, I'm going to right click and I'm going to type in static morph, and you'll see that we have static mesh morph targets. Next up, I'm going to right.
I've also been drinking a little bit, so I'm not really all there.
Parameter, which lets me set a color that can be instance. I'm just going to call this color. I'm going to set the roughness to be very low. 0 is actually.
It's a constant. Hey, look, I remembered something. Look at that. I remember constants. You see that? I learned something.
Good for this. And next up, I'm going to right click and I'm going to type in static morph, and you'll see that we have static
Morph.
mesh morph targets. So when static mesh morph targets is loaded, what it actually is doing is it can read in a final position. So if I was to get to that position and run it into a world position offset, it actually lets me say where I want each vertex to end up in. So to do that, all I need to do is, if I was to just plug this in, it would end up in the final position that's been saved into the mesh. Now we're not going to see anything here because this sphere doesn't have anything saved into it. But I'm going to just plug that in for the time being so you can see it. Apply. And save. I'm also going to quickly just set this color to actually be something reasonable. So let's just go with the yellow.
Yellow. Really? Awful. What? Am I dropping? Dark Jester. What is up, dude? The man, the legend, Dark Jester has arrived. Hey, thankfully I'm actually not really suffering today. I'm having a good time. Although, I think I might have too many tabs open again.
Save.
But what's up with you, dude? Nightbot used to be a little more aggressive yesterday. I tried to tone him down today.
Now all I need to do to test this out
is I'm going to go to my Sling Band MT. I'm just going to send this bottom material to be my morph band.
Morph band. Look at that.
And you can see now that it's completely stuck out. So yeah, this has just popped out here.
Yeah, it's popped out.
And if
The
I was
fuck?
to unplug this and hit apply, it's now pulled back in.
Oh. Wait, which one did you do? World position? Oops. Hey, look at that.
So what we need to do is get this parameter that allows the band to shoot out and basically just set it between a value of 0 and the final pose. So no morph target versus full. So to do that's rather simple. I had just held down L and left clicked to add a linear interpolate. So we call this a LOP. I'm going to plug in WPO into the B channel. My alpha is going to be a scalar parameter that I add by holding down S and left clicking. So remember, a scalar parameter is a singularly modifiable value. So I drop this in, and I'm just going to call this percent %out. And initially that's going to be a value of 0, but if I was to push that up to 1, it would be popping out. So with that done,
You better tell Nightbot. Nightbot really wants to know what your favorite game is. Okay? This is my first extensive project in UE4. I did this tutorial that was mainly like a landscape tutorial with some basic AI stuff, but not to this level at all. It was like, it's like some YouTube stuff, you know. Wasn't really that advanced. But that tutorial I found on YouTube, he did teach me a lot more about organizing. Which this tutorial, he just seems to be just doing a whole shitload of stuff. And there's wires everywhere.
that's essentially
So.
all I really need done for this material, because we're going to be modifying it through the blueprint itself.
So I really like pinball, so I would like to make a more advanced pinball game, or just like a custom pinball game. Cause that's how I found this tutorial. Was I just literally just Googled pinball Unreal Engine tutorial and I found this. I do want to do like a driving game and maybe a zoo game with like animals, but there's gonna be a little twist to it. So yeah. An MMORPG? Nah. Actually, maybe. So, like, what if it was like... Yeah, let me just do everything, you know? I'm just gonna do it all.
So once
Out of
again,
nowhere.
we're going to go pinball, and
No big deal.
we're going to go blueprints, hit a right click, and create a new blueprint class. And this is just going to be called
What are we calling this one?
VP_slingshot.
Slingshot.
And my slingshot asset's going to be reasonably straightforward. All I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up to have the static mesh of the sling. So add a static mesh component.
But did you ever hear about this game called the, it was called The Endless Forest? It was like this game from like the early 2000s, and it was like an MMO, not an RPG, but it was an MMO. And everybody was like a deer, and the deer had human faces, and you couldn't chat with anybody. You could only communicate with like gestures and like shit that you found in the woods. And there was no point to the game except like forcing other people to like dress differently or give them costumes or just like yell at them with the in deer sounds.
Set it to slingshot band.
Did you hear about that?
I'm now gonna get.
Did you hear about that? Sling. Sling.
This, and I'm going to make it the root. Now we only really want the sling to pop out if it touches this here. So I'm going to add a component, and it's going to be a capsule collision. So this capsule collision is just going to be a little zone in front of it that we're going to use to determine whether we should be popping it out of.
Oh, did you look it up, Jester? They're supposed to be working on a sequel right now. I don't know. It's like a husband and a wife, though, so I don't really know if they're still together. It's been years. They're kind of like hippies. But dude, there's still people who play that game. It's like some weird cult following now. The Endless Forest.
To
Like, I would love to make like a cult game. Like a game that just has like people playing it forever for some weird reason.
pop out if it touches this
But it's not popular at all.
here. So I'm going to add a component, and it's going to be a capsule collision. So this capsule collision is just going to be a little zone in front of it that we're going to use to determine.
Oh, he rotated it. Look at that.
Whether we should be popping it out or not. So I'm just going to pull this up. Because my snap grid's too high, it popped all the way up top, so I'm just going to turn that off by clicking on the grid. So this is probably okay initially. Clean this up later if we need to.
I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay.
So that's just there. And all we're going to do here
Should I stick it out a little bit?
is in the event graph, I'm going to say on begin overlap. So this collision capsule overlaps all dynamic and it generates overlap events, so it's correct. Now on begin overlap, we're going to check if the other actor is a ball. So I'm going to cast it to a BB ball because we only really want this to do anything.
Cast to BP ball.
Now, if it is a ball, what we want to do is add an impulse, which will automatically get me a reference to the ball mesh. And we're going to... Now, on begin over is a ball. So I'm going to cast it to a BB ball, because we only really want this to do anything if it is a ball. Now, if it is a ball, what we want to do is add an impulse.
Gonna add that impulse. Impulse.
Which will automatically get me a reference to the ball mesh. And we're going to set that impulse to be equal to... This is a cheeky little way we can do this. If I click on this...
Why is everything always cheeky with this guy?
You can see that the red arrow is pointing that way, which actually tells me my forward vector. And in this instance, all I actually really need to do is say I want to go this way. So if I tell this to go negative impulse on the forward vector, it'll push out against the red arrow here. So to do that, if I go and get my capsule,
Does he? He says capsule. He didn't say capsule. He says capsule.
get forward vector.
Capsule. Mortification. The mortification has arrived. Hello.
Vector, which is the red arrow, the x-axis, and I multiply this by a big number to give it some projections. and
Forward
multiply it against
vector.
the float. That's just going to be set to say negative 2,500. Sounds good. And I plug this into here.
He's you're a hamster. He's a hamster man, or woman, or both.
I'm going to multiply it again.
Back. Capsule. Capsule.
Against the float. It's just going to be set to say negative 2,500. Sounds good. And I plug this into here. Cool. All
But what's going on, Mortification? How's your day going? What brings you in our neck of the woods?
All I need to do now is do something to actually modify the static mesh's material. But first off, let's just double check that it works. So I'm going to go into
Oh, that's right. Everybody I talk to on my stream is like from another country on a different time zone. I always forget about that. It's 4 in the morning where I am. I live in California.
the world.
I'm making a pinball game. See? Whee! It's a tutorial by Chris Murphy, or is that his name? Chris Murphy? Yeah, I'm excited. I think this is gonna be fun.
Just going to add a sling. This sling by default is quite
So we're gonna add this sling here. Let's move this bitch. And we'll make it a little bit bigger, huh? The Mega Jam? What? Oh yeah? Sorry, my cat's playing with my shoelaces. It was very important to have to look at it. No. At least I don't plan to. I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe next year, or the next one. I'm gonna take a look at it though.
small.
Are you?
So I'm just going to make it equal to, say, 2 times larger. Process, I might move these around as well.
So wait, is this supposed to be working now? Is the rubber band working?
Yeah, I'll get rid of you. Guess we can put this here. If I alt drag it, we can now put another one over here. If I rack,
Okay, you're in the same boat as me. Okay. Well, that's okay. This is a judgment-free zone here. The only one you can judge is me, because I'm new. But you can't judge anybody else in the chat. There's no judging of other people, except for me. Is this working? I don't want to wait for him to tell me to do it. I think I might need to make them bigger. It seems a little bit small. Come on. Okay, yeah, let's make them bigger. No. You're slowly hacking your along your blah 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 blah. Oh, you don't know anything about UE, but you know about game development. Okay, alright. You're being humble. I get it. I get it. I can appreciate humbleness. Yeah, that's a little problem, huh? I have to, I just want to see if this stupid rubber thing works. No, it doesn't. Oh, wait. Oh, that was interesting. No. Okay.
Click, I can transform, and I can mirror it as well, so we can get that nice. Just two assets kind of popping up there. Actually, let's face it this way instead. That's nice.
He's organizing it in his video here. I'll show you what he's doing.
Cool, very simple. So to test this, I'm just going to now hit play. So that seems to have worked. We got a little bit of a bump out of it, but it's going to be a lot clearer as to whether it's working or not if we go ahead and add a quick timeline so that we can see the band kind of shoot out. So to modify the bands, all I'm going to do here is after I add an impulse, I'm going to get the static mesh, and I'm going to change the variable in its material.
Where is he? He went back to the slingshot. And then what we're doing? Static mesh. No. What did he do? Get static mesh?
The band kind of shoot out. So to modify the bands, all I'm going to do here is after I add an impulse, I'm going to get the static mesh, and I'm going to change the variable in its material. Now, because we're going to be changing a variable in its material, it's a good idea for me in my construction script to get this and just type create dynamic material instance. And when it asks me which one, I know that it's this.
I think the part that I'm gonna have to learn is the difference between construction scripts and event graph. You know what I mean? Is construction script like revolving around internal things for that object, I guess? Game Loonser. Welcome. Hello. How's it going? Is it lunchtime for you too? I'm working on a pinball game. It's a pinball game tutorial.
It's the channel 2. Remember, it's indexed by 0.
By Chris Murphy.
So it's element 2. You can see that.
When did he change it to 2? I don't remember him seeing. The fuck? Here. Ta-da! Construction script that's being created by dragging into the scene, spawning it. Also, when you change anything, expose the variable or compile the object. Huh.
That if we open up the mesh, element 0. One, two. So this is the one that we want to make an instance of. So I'm just going to quickly plug that in, and in my event graph, I'm going to get the material. It's going to be material 2.
Get material.
And I'm going to cast to dynamic. At which point I'm
Cast
simply
to
going to set
dynamic.
scalar parameter to a value. Now, what we actually need to do here is
No,
we don't
you
just
need to calm down. That's what you need to do. You ever think about that? This says the same thing. Why are there two of them? It's the same. Construction scripts also can't contain any delays. Oh, so nothing like time related. That would make sense because event is time, construction is everything but time. Yeah, okay. I have not worked with Unreal for a long time. I've been learning. I've probably put maybe about, I don't know. How many hours? I probably have like 100 hours into it so far, which isn't really that much. And it's like been half-assed, and like majority of it was like environmental with like building a, you know, an environment. In terms of the coding, I have barely any time with it.
want to set this
Or blueprints, not coding. Whatever.
value one time. Like, we don't just want to set it to
This is the first tutorial I've ever done where I was doing like extensive blueprint work.
the value of 1, for instance. What we actually want to do is set the value to be equal to
And I barely understand what's happening. I'm just following what I'm trying to like follow what he's doing. And
something that we're projecting
yeah.
to a timeline. So I'm going to disconnect this here. Instead, I'm going to drag off, and I'm going to add a timeline. And this is just going to be called
Add a
sling
timeline.
bounce.
Oh, okay. See ya. Thanks for stopping by. Sling.
Okay.
Gameluencer is now following.
Hey, thanks for the follow. Sling. See ya.
So update is going to be plugged into there. And we're going to double click on sling.
Wait, what?
I'm going to get the material.
set the value to be equal to something that we're projecting from a timeline. So I'm going to disconnect this here. Instead, I'm going to drag off and I'm going to add a timeline. And this is just going to be called sling bounce. So update is going to be plugged into there. And we're going to double click on sling bounce and add a float parameter. And this is just going to be called bounce. And all we're going to do here is rather simple. We want this to be
Bounce.
a way of adding a key at 0, 0, so we can set the time to 0. So this is where it starts, at which point we're going to right click, add a key. Keep in mind you can also shift click, just for me it's a force of habit for right clicking. So I'm going to add that.
What does he have this at? 0.5?
There, and this is going to be equal to a value of, I want this to push out pretty substantially. I'll set it to 1 for the time being, but my gut says it'll end up as around 2.
2.
Now because this value here is linear, you can see that it's coming off like this. If I click on any of these and then hit 3, it'll automatically add that nice.
Wait. I haven't done this in a while.
At which point we're going to right click, add a key. Keep in mind you can also shift click, just for me it's a force of habit for right clicking. So I'm going to add that there, and this is going to be equal to a value of, I want this to push out pretty substantially. I'll set it to 1 for the time being, but my gut says it'll end up as around 2. Now because this
Oh, he has it up. Okay.
value here is linear, you can see that it's coming off like this. If I click on any of these and then hit 3, it'll automatically add that.
Oh, no, no, don't do that. No.
So I'm going to add that there, and this is going to be equal to a value of, I want this to push out pretty substantially. I'll set it to 1 for the time being, but my gut says it'll end up as around 2. Now because this value here is linear, you can see that it's coming off like this. If I click on any of these and then hit 3, it'll automatically add that nice curve to them. So I actually want this to kind of spring out rather quickly and then kind of pop down. So I'm going to move this across. Also, if you're not sure which of these you want to use, you can open this up and set it to any of these. Auto's usually pretty good. So I've plugged.
How did you do that? Right click? Auto.
This in, and we've now got a rather basic timeline. Compile, save. And if I was to go to my event graph and just connect bounce to here, it's now going to just interpolate that value.
No. Oh.
Now remember, we have to put in the parameter name of the value, and in our instance the value is called %out. So I'm going to have to change this to say the word %out.
Percent out.
At which point, when it gets hit and enters the capsule region, it should now eject.
Eject, 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 eject. Let's see. I don't think it worked. No. Or maybe it did. I don't know. Let's see what he does.
There you go. You can see that popping out now.
No, it's not popping out for
Yeah.
me.
One thing that we've gone and done is it will only play one time right now. And the reason it's only going to play one time is we're currently telling it to play. But we actually, every time this goes in, we want to get the elastic band and play it from the start again. So I'm just going to disconnect that and plug it in.
Okay. So, what did I do wrong here? Is this not, like, far enough, or what? Is the hitbox fucked up? Is that what the problem is? Oh, wait a second. The collision's fucking this up, isn't it? Because the hitbox is behind the collision, right? So we should get rid of the simple collision, right? Did I do it, Jester? Did I figure it out? Alright, you know what? We need to rearrange this thing. I just want to test it. This is stupid. Get out of here. I just want to see if it's working. Oh. Get out of here. Fuck. Did I fuck it up? You'll increase it? I should create a new simple collision. Okay. Let's just move it so like it's guaranteed to fucking hit it, right? So Son of a bitch. Listen, bro, I just want you to hit the thing. Is it not working? I feel like it's not working. I think the problem is I'm not hitting it hard enough. It keeps rolling down it. I feel like it should have gone off right there. Yeah, I feel like it should react right away, right? So something's wrong. Something's got to be wrong. Like, okay, what if we do this? What if we do this? For testing purposes, let's just get... Oh, whoops, wrong one. Just get the fucking ball. I don't think it's working. Yeah, it's not working. Shouldn't this be checked off? On overlap event? Oh, I remember that. Wasn't that, Capsule seems to be a bit above ground. Is it colliding? You're talking to me in your own channel while hosting me. Well, thank you, Akita. Hey, Akita, see, I promoted you to VIP because of your dedication to, Oh, you were trying to talk to me in your own chat. That's funny. On overlap. Isn't... I remember Tim talking about that. Damn, I thought I made Nightbot like less controversial, or not controversial, aggressive, but he still seems... Does the ball have collision? Yeah. Let me just go back a little bit. Let me just see if I did everything
Now,
right in that last
one thing
step.
that we've gone and done is it will only play one time right now. And the reason it's only going to play one and enters the capsule region, it should now eject.
Is generate overlap event ticked on my root component static mesh? Generate overlap event. Looks like it. Should this say like something else instead of block? Add a print to my actor begin overlap event.
There you go, and you can see that pop. Just connect bounce to here. Not sure which of these you want to use. You can open this up automatically. Just for me, 0. So yeah, instead I'm going to drag off of them.
Actor begin overlap. I forgot how to do that. Did I just try print? And then what? Connect. Did I put this at the end? Or in between those two? Yeah, that's what I thought, right? Okay. So like that, right? Yeah, the ball should have collision. Test if the print shows up. What, simulate? Oh, I see what you mean. Move it to every single one of them? I think it might be faster if I just looked at the video. Let me just
I'm going to add a timeline.
let me just look at this for a second.
And this is date is going to be plugged into there. And we're going to double click on sling bounce and add a float parameter. And this is just going to be called bounce.
Does add impulse work? Not required character movement component.
And all we're going to do here is rather simple. We want this to be a way
I don't
of
know.
adding a key at 0, 0, so we set the time to 0. So this is where it starts, at which point we're going to right click, add a key. Keep in mind you can also shift click.
So he does this very quickly. So
Just get rid of
I
the
just
whole
want to see if
So
I
I'm
just
gonna
forgot
add
to
that
check
there,
something
and
here
this
that
is
he
gonna
did.
be equal to a value of. I want this to push out pretty substantially. I'll set it to 1 for the time being, but my gut says it'll end up as around 2. Now because this value here is linear, you can see that it's coming off like this. If I click on any of these and then hit 3, it'll automatically add that nice curve to them. So I actually want this to kind of spring out rather quickly and then kind of pop down. So I'm going to move this across. Also, if you're not sure which of these you want to use, you can open this up and set it to any of these. Auto's usually pretty good. So I've plugged this in, and we've now got a rather basic timeline. I'll save. And if I was to go to my event graph and just connect bounce to here, it's now going to just interpolate that value. Now remember, we have to put in the parameter name of the value. And in our instance, the value is called %out. So I'm going to have to change this to say the word %out. At which point, when it gets hit and enters the capsule region, it should now eject. There you go, and you can see that.
Go to my viewport and check which direction my capsule component has its x-axis. On the oh. So I rotate it, huh? Do you think I should like pop it out more?
capsule, get forward vector, which is the red arrow, the x-axis, and I multiply this by a big number to give it some projection. So I'm going to multiply it against the float. That's just going to be set to, say, negative 2,500. Sounds good. And I plug this into here. Cool. All I need to
check val change. Where the? Are we just not seeing it? No. What do you mean?
to do now is do something to actually modify
It's the same thing that he
mesh
did.
material. But first off, let's just double check that it works. So I'm going to go into the world. Just going to add a sling. This sling by default is quite small, so I'm just going to
Take the val change. No, it's not working. Yeah, I guess it wasn't bouncing before, huh? Wait a second. Shouldn't this have a value? What did he set his to? That's just a visual thing? Are you sure? Oh. He said that it might have to go up to 2. Right? Didn't do it. Dynamic material instance in my construction script. Yeah. Oh. So it would be the sling band, right? I know. What was the material? I forgot what it was called. Morph band? Yeah, now, after my timeline, I need to get the material and index 2 and not 0. Dude, what the fuck song is this? My timeline. This? Or this? Oh, this. Oh. I thought we made the invisible wall. The fuck?
This out is I'm going to go to my sling band MT, and I'm just going to send this bottom material to be my morph band, and you can see now that it's completely stuck out. So yeah, this has just popped out here, and if I was to unplug this and hit apply, it's now pulled back in. So what we need to do is get this parameter that allows the band to shoot out, and basically just set it between a value of 0 and the final pose. So no morph target. And if I was to unplug this sling band MT, I'm just going to send this bottom material to be my morph band, and you can see now that it's completely stuck out. So yeah, this has just popped out here. And if I was to unplug this and hit apply, it's now pulled back in. So what we need to do is get this parameter that allows the band to shoot out, and basically just set it between a value of 0 and the final pose. So no morph target versus full. So to do that's rather simple. I had just held down L and left clicked to add a linear interpolate. So we call this a lerp. And I'm going to plug in WPO into the B channel. My alpha is going to be a scalar parameter they add by holding down S and left clicking. So remember, a scalar parameter is a singularly modifiable value. So I drop this in, and I'm just going to call this percent out.
Wait a second.
And initially that's going to be a value of 0. But if I was to push that up to 1, it would be popping out. So with that done, it's essentially all I really need done for this material, because we're going to be...
So if I change this to 1, so I basically need to get control. I need to set that to 1. Right? So percent out is over here. The value is currently set at 0. this. There, I fixed it. Hey. Look at that. I solved my own problem for once. Look at. Yeah. I don't know. So basically, he was saying what clicked in my head on what to do was he said if I change this to 1, it would be out, right? So now if I change that to 1, it's permanently out. Or so put that to 0. And then this is the thing that's supposed to be controlling that. Now, I don't know why this wasn't working before, though. And I don't get it. Because we had this at the same thing before. Alright, so we have at 1.4. So if I put it up here, what happens? Does it still work? Oh, it goes nuts. Huh. I need to change the location of that stupid drop. It's stuck. Okay. Well, that's way too high. Just put it back. Huh. I don't know. All I know is that it's bedtime. I think we're pretty much done with this.
And view it, and you can see it's adding.
No, we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
Fantastic. So the only other little thing that we really want to do here is go back to the mesh itself. Now let's just quickly set up the materials to be just a little bit nicer. I'm going to set this to be a yellow band on top, and I'm going to set the middle one to just be simple metal. Just so we've got a completed asset in there. Save. There you go. Now from here we're going to be doing some polish passes. So we're going to start adding sound effects to everything, as well as adding some particle effects where necessary. So stick around, jump into the next lesson. So aside from the materials, the other thing that we need to fix right now is the collision. So I'm going to click up here and view it, and you can see that this is currently set up so that it creates this very weird shape. So initially I'm going to click on that and hit delete. The other way you can do it is collision, and you can go to remove collision. There's nothing there at the moment, so it's grayed out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to tell it that I want it to auto-generate collision based purely on this top piece. The rest of it's going to kind of throw it into confusion. So I'm going to go down to lob 0, and just temporarily I'm going to turn off collision on the posts as well as on the band itself. So it's just on this top section here. I'm going to do convex collision set to around 20 max hold hertz. Click apply, and then we just wait a second. Now keep in mind that what I generate here is only going to be on this top area, but I kind of actually want this to go the whole way down. So there's a nice little thing that I can do. If I click on it, you can see that it lets me select the collision. So I'm going to get this and drag it down, and I'm going to hit spacebar, and instead I'm now going to start scaling it upwards. Now, because of the offset between where this was and the ground, as I scale it, it's going to push it upwards, but that's okay. It's really only a thing that we need to kind of deal with once. So I'm just going to drag it this way until we get something.
Why is he doing that?
So now we've gone ahead and just created a very simple collision block that goes from the top down to here, which should be a bit better for gameplay. So I'm going to hit save, and then we're done within the sling band.
Oh wait, is that gonna like prevent the ball from getting stuck? Is that the problem?
Good stuff.
Alright, now we're done. Okay, I guess we're done. Alright. So. Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. Pretty much. So here's the monkey. It's a sleepy monkey. Stream ending. I like ending with the sleepy monkey now. It's kind of like my thing. Yeah, Dark Jester, dude. I really appreciate you, your help, as always. So yeah, I think we'll, raid somebody. Is anybody else doing Unreal right now? No, not really. Well, Oh, Ancient Gate's on. We'll raid him. Wait, what the fuck is this? Oh, wait. Yeah, why isn't he showing... Is he, like... What is he doing? Okay, perfect. The stream is starting. So... Yep. Thanks for everything, everybody. Hasta luego.